Hello guys, how are you?
Hello.
Today I'm here with Mrs. Edwards, and she's my sister's mother-in-law, and she's here in Brazil for a short period of time. So I had an idea, take advantage of her stay here in Brazil to talk to her and get to know a little bit more about her life. So first, Mrs. Edwards, where were you born?
I was born in Boston. That's a big city in the northeastern part of the U.S. It's called New England. It's one of the oldest cities in the U.S.
Interesting. And where did you grow up?
Well, soon after I was born, my family moved away from Boston, so I didn't really live there very long. They moved to Chicago. And Chicago is west. It's on a lake, Lake Michigan, and it's in the part of the country called the Midwest of the U.S. And I lived there for 6 years, and then my family moved. Now, I'm the youngest kid in my family, the youngest of 5. So when I was 6 years old, we moved to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's between Chicago and Boston. It's a very pretty city. It's hilly. It's where 3 rivers come together. And that's where I lived all through grade school, middle school, and high school.
Awesome. Where did you go to school? Which schools did you go to?
Well, after I finished high school in Pittsburgh, I went to college in Ohio. And Ohio is a state a little west of Pittsburgh, about 3 hours drive.
Very nice. What were your favorite subjects at school?
Well, in school, before college, I liked to read a lot. So I think one of my favorite subjects was English, reading books, stories, and talking about them. And then in high school, I joined a club called the Drama Club, one of many clubs that were offered. And in Drama Club, you learn about the stage, about acting on stage, about makeup on stage, and scenery, and all that sort of thing in the theater. And that was where my love of theater was born, that I still enjoy very much. And then in college, I majored in psychology, especially child psychology. And later on, I went to work as in therapy with children, disturbed children, a therapist for disturbed children.
Very interesting. And tell me, how many children do you have?
My husband and I have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. And one son is married to your sister, Marcos.
Very well. And could you tell us, how is the U.S. like? What is your perspective from the U.S., your point of view from being a Native American speaker?
Well, it's difficult to talk about your home if you don't travel and you see contrasts from where you're used to living, how different that is from places you visit. So I will say that from visiting here in Brazil and Mexico, Costa Rica, England, Italy, the main thing I notice about daily life and how it's different in the U.S. is we have a lot more home appliances in the U.S., especially in the kitchen and doing laundry. And this has the result of making life more convenient. So you spend less time cooking. Now, cooking is something I love to do, but I do enjoy my kitchen gadgets.
Yeah, it makes life easier.
Makes life
more
easier.
Practical.
And washing clothes, most Americans have clothes dryers. So you take the clothes out of the washing machine, put them in the dryer, press a button, and half an hour later your clothes are dry.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time too.
It saves a lot of time, but I will say that hanging sheets outside to dry gives the sheets a wonderful smell. So it's not all 100% wonderful. There are trade-offs. Trade-offs.
And what's the food like in the United States?
Well, in the United States, our country is made up of many, many different cultures. We're a country of immigrants, so we are rich in food traditions from all over the world. Now, my mother grew up in England, so growing up, the food I grew accustomed to eating was from the English tradition. And she loved making desserts. So I have a sweet tooth, custards and pies and cookies and scones and so on. But outside my family, as an adult, what I love to eat are cheeses from all over the world, especially Asiago and Parmesan Reggiano from Italy, cheddar cheeses, which we also produce in the U.S. Let's see, Manchego from Spain, lots of cheeses. I love cheeses. And my mother used to bake bread. So bread and cheese was a typical lunch in our house.
Very nice, very interesting. And what do you notice about Brazil? What are your impressions about our country here?
Well, you have a very big country, Marcos, and I've only been in this town where you live, which is a city, and I think a lot of cities all over the world have similar. We all have traffic, traffic noises, but one thing that is different, I'm noticing, are the rooftops. That's the first thing I notice. Your rooftops are red and they have rounded tiles. Most rooftops in the U.S. are gray or dark blue, and they have flat tiles, not these beautiful artistic rounded tiles. And this town is hilly and very green. Now, I'm visiting in March, and this season is similar to where I live now in the U.S. I live in Texas, and we are also very green and very hilly where I live. So that's a similarity. I think another thing I would say that is different are the street sounds. The traffic is the same, the cars and trucks and motorcycles. But what's different, I hear more voices of men pushing carts, maybe, selling things from the carts that they're selling from. Don't hear that much, that kind of voice in U.S. cities.
Okay, and you said you've been to some countries like Mexico and Costa Rica? Yeah.
Yes.
Which other countries have you been to?
Well, let me tell you a little bit. I'll tell you where I've been, but I think it's interesting. The reason we have been to Mexico was to search for the monarch butterflies. It's a butterfly that migrates, and they spend the wintertime in the mountains of Mexico hanging from trees. I've been there twice. It's very interesting. And then we went to Costa Rica a couple of years ago to look for birds. Here, like Costa Rica and Brazil, you have beautiful colored birds, and especially the quetzal, we call the bird with a long, long tail that we were searching for in Costa Rica and found. I think you have that in Brazil. But I've also been many times to England. That's my mother's home country. So I have a lot of cousins who live in England. And for short visits, we've been to Italy and Ethiopia and South Africa. That's abroad, that's about it. Inside the United States, there are many interesting places to visit because we're such a big country. The geography varies, the climates vary, there's country, there's city. I do like to travel very much. And Canada, I've been to Canada many times also.
So you've been everywhere, many places.
Well, many places still to explore. I love exploring.
Yeah, I love traveling too. So tell me about your free time. What do you like doing in your free time to relax?
Number one is cooking.
Yummy.
That's where the appliances come in very handy. I like to cook from scratch. I don't like mixes. I like to cook with the natural ingredients. But I also like theater. I have been doing theater for many years, and still I direct some theater, and I lead a play reading group. I like gardening, although it's very different gardening in Texas from what I was used to when I lived in Pittsburgh. I try to garden, it's hard. I like traveling, I like reading, and I like hiking. We have places in Texas where we are outside almost every day.
Outside activities, it's great for this kind of activity. Okay guys, so that was our short interview with Mrs. N, and it was a great talk. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Marcus. I enjoyed it. You have a good teacher.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very fluent in the kind of English we talk in the U.S.
So thanks again. You're very kind, very friendly, and very nice. I am looking forward to seeing you soon here in Brazil or in the U.S.
Yes, we can visit a lot over the future.
Definitely. And that's it, guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye.